Why, good evening, peasants and peons. If it pleases the crown, we would like to begin webisode number 4 of the best podcast in history. I'm your host, Josh Houslander. With me, as always, my lovely co-host, Tiffany Foresi, and my super lovely co-host and producer, Mr. Adam Hernandez. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm awesome.
How many times can we bait Adam this time? That's the question.
Yeah. Oh, we will definitely. We'll get Adam talking before the end of this. We'll bait him. We are the masturbators when it comes to getting Adam to talk. No, he's not going to. He's not biting yet, but he will.
It's
he
only
will.
like 30 seconds in.
Right. We'll get the right worm on the hook for him eventually. But hey, Tiffany, some stuff going on in royalty news. We can talk about that before we get into the harder aspects of history that we love to cover. But you want to start with royalty news, though, right?
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool. What is going on? Anything specific you want to start out with to fill the minds of the peons listening?
Peons. Well, I don't know. What about the robbing of the crown jewels?
Yes,
maybe?
yeah. See, I
like that one.
It is cool. We always try to do royalty news, and we always get stuck talking about British royalty because they're the hotness and they're the ones everybody knows. But Tiffany's always dying to talk about some of the more obscure royal families out there that are just as interesting and pretty cool. So yeah, the Swedish crown jewels. Tell us about this.
Yeah, it's just there's one guy who stole it from a cathedral. I can't say the name because I don't speak Swedish. Not even gonna try there.
Okay.
But he stole 2 crowns and an orb and scepter, I believe, just from a cathedral. So I'm just trying to figure out how that happened.
Say
right
they had
now.
this on display in a glass case for
because it's not anything current. It's just a past monarchs, right? Okay. So it's on display cases. But I've been to London and different places, and those things are not easy to steal.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this guy. So this is some serious Danny Ocean stuff.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay, so basically, they definitely, they're pretty certain it was one dude, though, one person. So it was pretty much either Danny Ocean or Catwoman.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is what we've narrowed it down to. So what do you do with it? So you steal.
Whoa.
Well, I'm getting phone calls in there. That's so unprofessional.
Put them on silent.
So all right. So you steal the crown jewels of the Swedish royal family. So really though, what exactly do you do? You can't sell it, right?
No, black market for sure. Okay. But even black market, right? Interpol's all over that. Right. They gotta have some peeps under that,
Okay. So yeah, do you already have a buyer?
Maybe. I never thought about that.
You already got somebody like I don't care. I'm rich. I want the Swedish crown jewels. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of the, I don't know, it's for movies how you see somebody approaches you, they're like, you know what, if you can do this for me, I'll do that for you. So you steal these Swedish crown jewels and I'll do something in return for you. But you find somebody who's already really skilled, right? You're like, I know your skill set, you can do this, bro.
Yeah. So it's Catwoman, basically, is who you hire for this job.
My family's on the
Swedish. So then, you said something off air though, right before we started, about somebody had stole something like this before and they found it in a trash can or something.
Yeah, it was in a garbage bag on the street. Happened in 2013.
These same ones?
Not the same ones. I think somebody had been abducted, one of the royal members of the royal family, and it happened they stole some crown jewels at the same time, but they just ended up finding them on the street. In what world does that happen? How lucky do you have to be?
Yeah, is that just you're just proving how good you are? You're just doing it for the thrill of it?
Or they just didn't realize, maybe. Although when you steal a person, maybe I'm pretty sure you know that they're legit.
Yeah, that's probably true, but and that sounds like something the Joker would do. I know I keep throwing this back to Batman villains here, but
just to cause chaos.
Yeah,
maybe.
just inject a little anarchy into the world of Swedish royalty.
They're not so happy now, are you guys?
Yeah, it's he didn't do it for the money. He just wanted to watch the world burn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, and then what about that guy who was got escaped out of prison the next day? Don't you think that was a little deflection happening? Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Could be unrelated.
That was in Sweden as well. Some big time criminal escapes from jail right afterwards. That definitely seems like that could be.
Because it's raising two, they call them national alarms. So, like, when one goes off, you know, everybody's, like, focusing on that one. But to have two, like, happen, like, a day apart, that's kind of that's intentional to me, I feel like.
Yeah, like, he knows everyone's on his case, so let's stage this prison break.
Yep. Less people focused on us. Mm-hmm. Now we can be smuggled this out of the country and we're good.
I guess it'd be cool to have the Swedish crown jewels, but I mean, like, I'm broke. But if I like had the Swedish crown jewels, like, I still don't think I could sell them without getting caught. So I just like
go to the local pawn shop.
Yeah, or I just like wear them around the house or whatever, and like, you know, use them to like try to impress chicks and stuff. like invite people over and just be like, hey, want to see something? Hey, this crown I'm wearing. You think it's weird that I'm wearing a crown, but really, this is straight up like the crown of Sweden. Like,
I feel like this is how you get all the chicks right here.
Yeah, like this thing I'm wearing is legit. They'll be like, oh, it looks kind of goofy on you. Like no, this is like, see, this is my crown, this is my scepter. Like, I'm actually pretty much like the king of Sweden right now while I'm holding this stuff.
Actually, I'm like a billionaire in disguise. Yeah. I just live here in Michigan. Mm-hmm.
Just like have them over for like, you know, like dinner parties and stuff. Like, you got people like hanging out at your place. You're just like wearing the crown jewels. like, oh, you're still wearing the crown jewels, huh? Like, yeah, don't tell anybody, bro. Do not tell anybody that I have the crown jewels of Sweden. Oh, ABBA. Okay, see, you know, you think Adam's not paying attention, but he is. Who's better, ABBA or Ace of Base? Since you're the Swedish expert, Tiffany, who's better, ABBA or Ace of Base?
Man, Ace of Base, but I do like ABBA too, man.
Right on. I mean, those are the only two groups from Sweden, right?
Yeah, I don't know anymore.
Okay.
Sadly. They go on, they're like, you know, they're always like up against the British royal families. They're always like one under.
Yeah.
They got some pretty good PR though, man. So they're like up and coming.
Okay.
I swear they are.
Yeah. And they got nowhere to go but up because people don't know that much about them. Where the British royal family is always fighting this thing where some people hate them. Yeah, they have a lot of haters. They get a lot of lovers too, but they get a lot of haters.
Yeah, they're the OGs though.
Oh, for sure. No, they definitely are. They definitely are.
Meaning they only have anywhere but down to go.
Yeah, I mean, and Meghan Markle is a great example of this because, you know, everybody's loving her. Everybody watched her wedding. It was great. Everybody but Adam because shit's dumb. But, but, you know, everybody else watched Meghan Markle's wedding. It was exciting. It was beautiful. We laughed. We cried. All that stuff.
You did all that?
Oh, all of it. Yeah,
oh, man,
totally.
I didn't do any of that.
Yeah, no, it was good stuff. But now Meghan Markle's under fire, and you know the Queen's got to be pissed because she's not living it like a royal. She's still like, it's like you can take the girl out the colony, but you can't take the colony out the girl. You know what I mean? Like that's totally what's going on with Meghan Markle right now. Because she's fighting with her dad, and her sister put her on blast on Twitter.
Yeah, the Queen's not happy about this.
Yeah, I mean, you know, her sister's ragging on her big time because she feels like she's not, you know, giving proper respect to her dad. Because she basically is just like, yeah, Dad, I'm out. Like, I'm a princess now. Like, just stop it. You know?
I think everybody was mad at her because, like, her dad favored Meghan, like, apparently their whole growing up time. And then she's just like, I'm out. Yeah. So everybody's like, that's kind of fucked up. Can't be doing that.
So what is Meghan's response been to all this, though?
Nothing. Silence.
Okay, so... Well, then she's above it, though. She's not talking down to the peasants.
That's what her dad, because he's done, like, I don't know how many, like, radio interviews and television interviews. It's been, like, a few now. He keeps going to the press, so he keeps trying to bait her like we're baiting Adam.
Yeah.
He's like, are you going to talk to me? Are you going to talk to me? Nope, I'm going to send you birthday cards and talk to the press until you actually...
Yeah. There's something to that. But in the meantime, her old man, Prince Harry, he's visiting elephants or something?
Yeah, in Botswana. You know, they all, like, that whole family, like, love it. Like, they love Africa, so...
Oh, do they?
Yeah, I mean, the Queen, like, I remember she was there with Philip. I think she was even there when she was, like, actually became Queen or something like that. Okay. She was on a huge visit, so...
Are they gonna get that back as part of the empire, or what?
I don't know, man. I feel like China, you know, has some, like... You know, recolonization happening there, perhaps. That's a whole different topic.
So what, he's just visiting elephants? Just kind of...
To save them. He's like, if we can't save these elephants, what can we save?
Oh, that is adorable. That is adorable that he says that. That is so cute.
It's true though, man. If you can't save the elephants, who can you save? Like...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe like the British economy. I don't know, maybe like that's something you could save. But nah, let's go play with elephants.
Hey man, like elephants are legit. They're like symbolic of Africa. You gotta help them out.
Yeah, these are big elephants, right? Not like those little like baby elephants.
I don't know what kind. Does it matter what kind of elephants?
It kind of matters to me. Yeah,
I don't know, man. Like.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the little elephants, or the big elephants kind of. I don't know. They kind of scare me a little bit. I don't know. I'm not that up on elephants, to tell you the truth. They're all right, I guess. But okay, do we have any more royalty news?
Well, we do know Princess Madeline of Sweden is actually moving to Florida.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Why is she doing that?
Her husband actually works, apparently, right? So he's going there for a job. She's lived in New York before, actually.
Okay.
So, and her kids are in risk of losing their titles because they actually haven't lived there as much. They don't even actually live in Sweden.
Really?
Most of the time, so you're at risk of losing them.
Okay, but they're not like the French royal family. Like the Swedish royal family does have places to live in Sweden, right? They're like allowed in the country and they're supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So they're not though.
Yeah. That's pretty legit though. I feel like she's kind of like normal.
Yeah, I mean, I just like it's like, you know, I don't know. That's like that would make Ann Coulter proud, right? Like, isn't she always talking about like we need better immigrants? You know,
that's a really raised standard here.
Yeah, like I mean, we have royalty moving to Florida. That's neat, right? That's something.
Yeah, everybody's like, I want to live around them, right?
Yeah, I mean, is this chick like heir to the throne of Sweden, or is she like the Prince Harry of?
Like the Prince Harry.
Okay.
So, but Prince
so
Harry,
she doesn't really matter.
No.
Okay.
Because the other one already has 2 kids.
Okay.
To heir to the throne.
But still, you gotta pop back into Sweden every once in a while to keep your title.
Yeah.
They'll actually take your title away.
Yeah, but you actually have to live there, I think. It's not even just about coming back, because they come back and stuff like that. But because I think she lives in like The Hague or something like that, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay.
So
that'd be a cool place to live. I can't think of a place in Florida. I mean, Florida's a cool state, I guess, if you're into that sort of thing.
No, I'm not.
But I mean, I can't think of a place in Florida that I'd rather live than The Hague.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, I don't know. Like, do they like need to work, or is he just like somebody that's just like likes to work? I mean,
I don't know. I've never really done too much research on it. Like, I don't think he's ever been given a title. Like, he just keeps working. I'm sure, like, at that level, like, work is not really work anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how rich. I mean, I know, like, anyone that's, like, the third cousin of the British royalty is just, like, a zillionaire. But, I mean, are the Swedish? I don't know. Do they got rent to pay? I mean...
Yeah, they're actually, like, some of them are more rich than the British royal family.
Are they?
So, like, I mean, I've read things online how some of them are way more rich, and, like, the British monarchy is actually not as rich as you think, but you never know, man.
Yeah, a lot of it's just kind of like their property, and it's been paid off since, you know.
Yeah, they have, like, duchies or whatever they are, and, like, that's, like, where their income comes from. Because, like, I think, like, Prince Charles pays for, like, both of the kids, and, like Kate Middleton and all of them. Basically, that's how they, like live.
Okay, so they're basically, like, all this, like, prim and proper stuff. They're basically just, like, kids who never had a job who their parents are still taking care of.
Yeah. Like, you think that they're not, but it pretty much is.
Okay.
So.
Huh, that's weak. That's kind of weak.
I mean, they go out and do stuff, you know, for the crown, but that's it, you know. Like, Prince Charles still, like, out of the Duchy of Cornwall, he pays for them.
Okay. Okay, well, that's cool. All right, last week, we talked about this on the XCast last week, but last week was the primary here in Michigan. Did you vote?
No.
No. Just
I really don't care.
Yeah, letting them have it. That's cool. I'm with that actually. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of throwing away my vote and voting libertarian and stuff. It's like, it's my vote, I'll throw it away if I want to.
Yeah, I honestly have filled in sometimes, like, you know, even like on the presidential elections, I'll just be like, circle, you know, the blank one and then write it something in. I've done that previously.
Yeah, I pretty much, the guy I vote for, pretty much, you can count on it, is not going to win.
Yeah.
I'm always voting for somebody that has no chance of winning. But, okay, so that's that. But how do you feel about the primary system? The idea of the primary? Because a lot of people think that, okay, primary, this is something that, oh no, we vote. That's what we do in the United States, we vote. So primaries, it's like, it's in the Constitution, right? We gotta vote. And it's like, well, no, actually it's not in the Constitution at all. It actually has nothing to do with it. It's something that comes about in, the early 1900s. So, I mean, do you feel like that is a good use of democracy or of a republic? Or, I mean, how do you think history has shined upon the idea of the primary? Think this is something that's worked, not worked? Don't know, don't care?
I don't think I really care. I think it's a waste of time.
That's
sad to say.
I tend to agree with you. I think primaries are kind of fun. And I think
they're fun, but it's I feel like it's a waste of money too, waste of everything.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But I mean, when in the progressive movement in the early 1900s, Teddy Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson especially, you get, the main three parts of the progressive movement are the primary, the referendum, and the recall. And these are things that a lot of people kind of think are cool or kind of take for granted, but they're actually not in any way something that the Founding Fathers or that the Constitution really supports. We elect representatives in government, so the idea that we would have a referendum where they would just put that then on the ballot, put something on the ballot, and then we would vote on it.
You're talking about the pitfalls of democracy.
Right. The idea of basically saying, should pot be legal? Put it on the ballot. People are like, oh, okay, put it on the ballot. Should we raise this tax? Put it on the ballot. It's like, well,
so you're looking at you're looking in at the tyranny of the majority then too.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. No, I mean, and like Alexander Hamilton said, the tyranny of the majority can be just as oppressive as the tyranny of an autocrat. That's paraphrased, not quote. I don't remember the exact quote. But that, is in essence what he says in the Federalist Papers and elsewhere. And to be honest, I agree with him, actually. I'm trying to look at it from a historical perspective, not necessarily just my point of view or my opinion, but, we elect representatives who you think are supposed to be learned men and women who have studied this and who have ideologies and philosophies that backs up their vote and that they're voting for the constituents. So the idea that we would do that, to me, it's a cop-out. It's a huge cop-out of politicians to say, we don't want to be the bad guy when this doesn't work, so we're going to put it on the ballot for the rabble to vote on it, and then we're going to try to sway them in one direction. And then when it sucks in 5 years, we can say, well, you voted for it. This is what I feel like is happening with an idea like the referendum. And same with the recall. I mean, the idea of a recall, another part of the progressive movement, is the same way.
Careful, Ed's here. You don't want to get him going too much.
Yeah, Ed from Deep Issues is already in studio in our attached green room. So that's the words like progressive are triggers for him. He gets triggered. You can see him.
Yeah, I know. His heart starts pounding up and down.
Yeah,
and
he's told he's got the shakes.
He starts to sweat.
Triggering is a progressive disease.
Ed is off mic right now, but he's saying that only progressives get triggered. So so you don't need to worry about that from him. He can handle it. But truly, though, you elect someone by your state constitution or by the federal constitution to a specific term, and then, but now with the recall, you can, before they have an opportunity to do the job they've been duly elected for, you can kick them out of said position. They love to do this in California. Arnold Schwarzenegger wins by resounding, numbers for some silly reason, and then the people who don't like him instantly start a recall. It's like, well, this is kind of dumb. You elected him. The people spoke, and this is who they chose. So if you don't like him, you can just wait till this term's up and then not vote for him again. So I find it funny that the people elect someone, then the people start a recall, and then that person gains re-election. It's kind of silly, and to me it kind of destroys the system. And the primary's cool, right? We all think the primary's cool because you get to select who your party runs, but really what that does is it cements the two-party duopoly. Because, sure, you get to pick who the Republicans run, you get to pick who the Democrats run, but you're then ensuring that it's a Republican and a Democrat running against each other and that's who's going to control your nation or your state or your city. So I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of these things.
Not a fan either.
It's weird too, because it's like an arbitration hearing in sports primary, because you basically have like a team, like the Democrats or the Republicans or the Libertarians. Within their primaries, you're sitting there saying why this person sucks and why they shouldn't be the candidate. Then all of a sudden, once the general comes around, that person isn't as bad as I originally said.
All of you Republicans, don't vote for John McCain. He's a terrible scumbag loser. Until I lose to him in the primary, then you have to vote for John McCain.
And then you kiss ass.
Right, because he's a Republican.
Which I forgot my Gretchen Whitmer stuff.
It's just like
where's your Gretchen Whitmer t-shirt?
I'm sorry, I forgot
Adam. Adam was for Saeed. But you know that since he's such a staunch, dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, that he's going to have to, just be totally up Gretchen Whitmer's butt now. And he's going to be obsessed with her and fix the damn roads, right, Adam?
I'm a I usually call me a socialist, commie, whatever.
I said that. I said Democrat.
Bullshit.
Just kidding, buddy. No, Adam, you can be whatever you want to be. You can be a socialist, a statist, and a Democrat all at the same time. And a communist. You can be all those things, man. Don't sell yourself short.
All right.
No, we're a progressive group here. We accept all.
Right, that's right.
All types of people.
That's right. Yeah.
Except for Ed.
I forgot populist. Don't forget that. Oh, well, okay, maybe you're not. I forgot. You're an anarcho-communist. Right? That he likes that term. Adam likes the term anarcho-communist.
No, the test said I was a libertarian socialist.
But you cheated on the test.
Is there a test
I
for
did
this?
not cheat on it.
I'm sorry, Tiffany.
Is there a test for this? You just
Yes,
said?
yes. We took this test on our Politics of the Empire
Josh
show.
is just upset that he didn't get a libertarian in his title.
No, because I actually took the test.
No, I took the test
properly.
too. I took it too, and Josh is just mad.
I don't actually even recall. What did I get?
I don't know,
I got libertarian. I just didn't get libertarian enough.
No, you
for
didn't
my
get
liking.
you didn't have libertarian in your title.
No, I didn't.
And Josh had his feelings hurt.
I didn't have my feelings hurt. It just showed that the test was wrong, and but Adam played to the test.
I did not.
I just answered the questions honestly,
Mm-mm.
where Adam was trying to
manipulate the
I
outcome.
want to be in this. He's a smart guy. He's manipulative.
Nope.
He just was.
Josh is just.
Man, where did you get this test? Did you Google it?
Yeah, it's out there.
Dorf got it. It's the 8 pillars test. I think that's what it's called.
Can we possibly, and somewhere near this show, put a link to that show?
Sure.
For people that might be interested in the.
Dude, I want to take this test now. I'm curious.
Yeah, no, you should take it. It's good. But just answer them honestly. Don't do what Adam did.
Okay.
And also don't do what Dorf did and just say, I don't know for every question. Or
How are you
just-
going to have an I don't know? Do they really have that
not,
option?
Not I don't know. What was the option that Dorf kept taking?
None of the above.
Neutral or something.
Yeah, neutral, not sure. Whatever one was, in the middle, he answered pretty much everything. He just lives on the fence. They're going to send his social security check to Dorf on the fence. He's going to be there until he retires. But hey, primaries were a product of progressivism, and there are many other isms, which leads to our topic for tonight, our LISTORY and our famous best podcast in history topic, which is isms. Isms. History's all about isms, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
the isms and the ology. Is it ologies, right?
yeah.
I say ology sometimes, but I know it's so incorrect. But I don't know, we wouldn't have history without that. We wouldn't even have education, I feel without those things.
Right.
And evolution.
No, I mean, and so it's a lot of history, some people kind of say, it's defined by, all historians do is study wars, or they study, biographies of individuals. But really, I mean, history is more a study of the isms. The isms define each day and each time period. So much so, and it defines why the wars are fought and why the people are elected and why the revolutions happen.
I mean, that's why you have militarism, like capitalism, industrialism, feminism. I mean, they're everywhere. And you can be more than one thing.
Totally.
That's what's great about isms.
Oh, you totally can. I mean, we just listed a whole bunch of them that Adam was. I mean, he loves statism and socialism and progressivism.
I said feminism. I thought Ed was gonna
Pop his head
again. Our next show is about feminism and social engineering. So if that's an ism that it interests you, then you should definitely check out Deep Issues, which will come on after this. But let's name a few. We each there's dozens of them. There's hundreds of them.
Yeah.
But let's go back and forth and name a few that we thought were very worthwhile. When I tried to pick my main three, I tried to pick the ones that have, in my opinion, have influenced present day the most.
See, I just picked the ones I like the most.
That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. There's no rules here on the best podcast in history. That's why we do podcasts instead of teach at some fancy university, because we don't like the rules.
We can't even get our lives together.
No, we can't.
We can't even agree. Teachers, how can we be teachers? We'd be like, just do what you want.
Yeah. It's hey, it's cool, bro.
Just write something down on this paper.
Us as teachers would just what should we call you, Mr. Houslander? Just bruh is fine.
Just take a seat anywhere, honestly. Just write something down on this paper so we can turn it in so it looks like you're doing something.
My name is Professor Foresi. You can call me bro. All right, so why don't you start? Because I think you have a few more than I do.
Really?
So, you said you had 5.
I feel like I've had a lot.
Okay, I have a couple dozen listed here, but I have 3 that I've pinpointed. So
should we go over maybe the ones that we don't think are as prominent, or that we think are not as important?
Sure. If you want to fire one off. Okay, go.
I don't know. I mean, I think capitalism was huge. I don't think that it was important on my list. But I think that's definitely good for a mention, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Capitalism is...
it's not important to me. I mean, it is important, but,
No, I mean, capitalism has been a huge definer. And, I think one of the questions one would ask with capitalism is, some people love capitalism, some people hate capitalism. But I think a lot of people...
Josh is an anarcho-capitalist.
I kind of am an anarcho-capitalist, yeah.
See, I feel like I'm middle of the road with capitalism. I don't love it. I don't hate it.
I feel like the things I dislike about capitalism aren't real capitalism. I feel like so much of our current system here in the U.S. and, Western Europe and other places, some of the issues that people like to blame on capitalism is really crony capitalism. It's regulated capitalism. Where capitalism, true Ayn Rand capitalism, I feel like maybe that's never really even been tried in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Marxism, which is something I'm not a fan of, is, I don't know that that's ever really been tried either. We like to talk about capitalism versus Marxism a lot of times, but I don't know that either of these have really been tried. Communism has been tried.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Karl Marx famously, at the end of his life, when they had the first big Marxist rally and conference in Europe, Karl Marx went to this big rally, and he was the guest of honor. He was an old man at this point, and his only quote at the end of it was, "All I know after attending this thing is that I'm definitely not a Marxist." And I'm not a big Karl Marx fan, but I at least, I do respect that he was willing to say, no, that's not what the book was, that's not what I meant. That's so not what I was talking about. And many people would argue, too, that if a lot of people like to talk about how great Communist Manifesto is, if you can get through that book.
I couldn't.
Yeah, I did. I read it. It's a great... It's such a great theory on paper. It's like, did you actually read it? Because I read it. I did not think it was a good theory on paper or anywhere else. It's boring as hell.
It was super dry.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, no, he is, a page turner. It is not. That is for certain. Not a big fan. But a true Marxist or somebody that read that book would tell you that, say, oh, look at communism in China or in the USSR. They would say, directly says right in Communist Manifesto that you can't do this system in a country that is mostly agricultural. I mean, it lays it out plainly. And some of communism's biggest failures are places where, you know, they have basically a peasant system with farming.
Why don't you guys just go over your top 3? Because Josh will keep us here all night.
I will keep us here all night. You're right. And we spent so much time talking about the crown jewels of Sweden that we don't have a ton of time left on the show. But
I'll let you go first.
Communism is another one.
That was your top 3?
Communism was one of my top 3. But another one that goes hand in hand with communism, when at least at that time period or come about in the same fight, is fascism. You don't have any fascism music?
Hold on.
See, I knew we wouldn't have the same ones, man.
No? Okay. And fascism is basically an extreme form of nationalism. Fascism, basically, I mean, it's pretty much invented by Benito Mussolini. He is your first fascist. And one could argue maybe your only true fascist we've ever seen, except for Franco, perhaps, as well. Because people hear fascism and they instantly think Hitler, but really Hitler wasn't actually a fascist. It's some fascist tendencies. He was a National Socialist. He's a Nazi. There's nothing directly in fascism that says kill 6 million Jewish people. That has nothing to do with the ism of fascism. That's Nazism.
You could say his rise to power was fascist.
Yeah, I mean, it was tyrannical, for sure. For sure, which can be a staple of extreme fascism and extreme communism, I would say, for sure. Do you have one that you want to throw out there, Tiffany?
I liked absolutism. Isn't that how you say
it?
Because it's so crucial. I feel like definitely in early modern Europe or any type of those European cultures, I mean, it's like that predestination by God. Because, I mean, you can look at some of these things from a political standpoint or from a metaphysical standpoint. So it's just like, and then, of course, you have absolute rule. Like, I know many kings practice that. So it's just, it's definitely a part of that history.
Yeah, and like you're saying too, absolutism so often has something about it to where, like the kings of Europe, kings and queens of Europe, would say, why are they kings? Well, they were selected by God, right?
Yeah, that was so important. That was like their go-to, right?
Yeah, like, I was chosen by God to be here.
Didn't you know?
Like there's a God, he's above us, but like there's this other step between God and you, and it's me that's in that spot.
And you have to believe everything I say and do everything I say.
Like I may not be perfect, but I'm really close. and if I wasn't pretty damn perfect, then God wouldn't have selected me and my family for this position.
Yeah. I mean, they even used it like in religion. It was like just like predetermination. Like basically your life's laid out for you, right? This is absolute. Like you came here, this is your plan. You're just living it out, right? So it's so many levels of that. You see it everywhere.
Yeah. Another one that I want to point out too, because I find it fascinating sometimes when an ism is supposed to mean something. It's supposed to have a strict ideology or a strict meaning or a strict philosophy to it, but there are some that kind of change. And one I think that is definitely, the definition of it has changed over the decades, or over the century, if you will, is Zionism.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm so shocked you chose that.
Really?
I thought you'd pick like Taoism or like something great.
Well, just because, Zionism begins in 1840s, 1850s, around this time, and it's the idea that, this begins as the idea that the Jewish people deserve a homeland in and around Jerusalem, mostly, but for the most part, in and around the Palestine area, if you will. Mm-hmm. But later, once that becomes established, Zionism doesn't die out, but then Zionism kind of becomes this defense of the state of Israel.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what Zionism is today, or even has been for the last 50 years or so. Just this idea that, you are a Zionist because you support Israel, or you are not a Zionist because you oppose Israel. Mm-hmm. You got any more you want to throw out? I got one more I want to talk about a little bit, too.
I was going to put progressivism in there. So I do like that one, but it was like my top three, like 4 or 5. So, but
That's one that has kind of changed in essence too, because nowadays, I mean, and Adam would maybe agree with me or disagree with me here, but progressivism or being a progressive at this point is kind of synonymous, the way we define it in American politics or in European politics, I think too, but it's synonymous with being a liberal or being a Democrat.
It is very much so.
But in its original infancy, that's not what progressivism meant necessarily.
No, it came out in like the Age of Enlightenment, so it was different. Like you didn't even think some of the things were possible at that time, but now we think of it as like, you know, more of acceptance and like not having slavery. You know, it kind of went down the chain and evolved and what we thought it could be. But that's what it like makes it progressive, right? It's always it's ever changing.
And it's the idea that one would, you know, in its original meaning, a progressive and a conservative wouldn't necessarily want different things, but a progressive would want to progress towards that quicker than a conservative would. Where, I mean, and then when we look at it from an American historical perspective, the first 2 progressives we talk about are Teddy Roosevelt, a Republican, and Woodrow Wilson, a Democrat. 2 people that hated each other. They absolutely loathed each other, but they're both kind of considered the fathers of the progressive movement. This, you know, idea that we move towards. And it also kind of, tell me if you agree or disagree with this, but say progressivism is an idea that not only do we have to move towards something new, but the vehicle for moving towards that is government.
Yeah, sometimes. Because I feel like it's not always the government, though. I feel like the people sometimes get you there, too, right?
They can.
You know?
They can.
And they initiate certain things. So, I mean, some of it, like, you know, progressivism is always in many things. It's in industry. It's, you know, it's in culture. It's in, you know, everything. You know, we want to, like, lessen inequalities. You know, we want to modernize, like, technology. You know, so some of that comes from the people, right? Especially, like, technology and that progressive movement. You know, that's definitely not the government, you know.
That's true.
That's just, like, the modernization almost of, like, a culture and us moving forward. So it can be so many different facets, you know. That's why isms are so great.
Do you feel like that's kind of, like, almost a shame to then take something, a progressivism, a legitimate ism from the past, and now it has just become synonymous with one political party that really doesn't necessarily, you know, speak for what the people would like to progress towards?
Yeah, because I don't like, I mean, it does represent some qualities of, like, liberalism or Democrats and stuff like that, but there's so many other, like, facets of it that it's just a shame that it's just, like, synonymous with that, you know, because it's not just that. I mean, there can be conservatives and liberals that are both progressive.
Right. I mean, people like John McCain, for instance, actually, Donald Trump, even. These people could easily be considered progressives in a lot of ways. You know, Republicans that voted for these people, you know, cringe when they say that. When you say that Donald Trump's a progressive. No, he's not. He's a Republican. Well, I didn't say he wasn't.
It's more like he hijacked the Republican Party. You know?
Yeah.
There's no question.
Yeah, and he kind of did. But, and hey, that doesn't mean you have to like him or dislike him because of that. That's just kind of, that's what happened. You know, I mean, there was, 77 people running in the Republican primary at that time, and it got put into a position where you were voting either for Trump or against Trump, and the against Trump people were not just split down the middle, but split into about 10 different sects. So, one more I'd like to cover that I think is really important, in American history especially. But I feel like this is something that American history kind of takes over, but it definitely exists in other places as well, and that's federalism. I'm a big,
of course.
I'm big,
like Federalist Papers come out of it.
Yes, yeah. Tiffany knows I'm a big Federalist Papers fan. But federalism is something that I feel like that's lost to a lot of people. I don't feel like they really understand what federalism was supposed to be. Federalism is this idea that we have rights independently of government. The people have rights independently of government. But there is a government formed and an institution formed, not an institution like a building that's brick and mortar, an institution like the Constitution of the United States that basically lays out our rights and protects our rights for us. Now, the Constitution wasn't created by God, it wasn't sent down by Moses or anything, but what it's saying is you have these rights. These rights transcend anything a government can say. And that's kind of the idea of what a federalist is. I feel like if you're a true federalist, you can potentially, or you can make the argument anyway, that you are more for liberty and freedom than even a libertarian or an anarchist. Because an anarchist would just say you can do whatever you want, right? Nothing is illegal, everything is your right to do. Even if you're an anarchist that goes off the non-aggression principle. You still believe that you can do whatever you want, but a federalist would believe that, yes, you can do whatever you want, but your rights are protected. If there is a group of nasty warlords or a street gang out there who would take away your rights, federalism would protect your rights from that outside group as well. But that's something that was debated even then. I mean, George Washington and John Adams were Federalists, but for a time there, the anti-Federalists were instantly the other part of the duopoly, if you will, at the time. I mean, Thomas Jefferson, as much as he was somebody who was very much for liberty in a lot of ways, and his writings show that, his philosophy shows that, but he was an anti-Federalist, and later a Democrat-Republican. He didn't necessarily fall into those ideas of federalism. We could go on forever about radicalism and militarism and Nazism and imperialism and feminism and existentialism and utilitarianism.
I know, I still didn't even finish my two, bro.
But we're going to throw it back to Tiffany and let her go over a few here.
Yeah, I like altruism.
Ooh, good one.
Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I like that it's kind of tied in with emotionalism and rationalism because it deals with reason and thought, and rationalism meaning, it's always a movement against positivism. So there's so many isms right now. But it's just basically, altruism is synonymous with selflessness. Mm-hmm. And it's talking about a whole kind of, everyone as a whole, and that your happiness is linked with, the welfare of others, and your mm-hmm. regard for other people as its highest priority. But people aren't like that. They're not altruistic, right? They're not thinking about other people. I mean, we live in a culture where everybody's thinking about themselves.
And altruism, one would acknowledge that we have emotion, mm-hmm. and would say that it's okay to have emotion, but we would talk about how you need to remove emotion when it comes time to make a legitimate decision.
Yeah.
You take emotion out of it and pretend like it's not you and your family you're talking about.
Yeah.
Pretend like this is a problem that reoccurs, and how's the best way to fix it. And
I mean, that's why even emotionalism comes into it, because you're having that reason versus feeling, right?
Yeah.
You have to pull that feeling out and actually have the reason behind it. So
emotionalism in a vacuum almost.
Yeah. I mean, it's super important, right? I mean, if everybody was altruistic, we'd have a utopian society, right? We'd have no negative people. It's just, but there's always that pushback, right? There's that cause and effect always happening,
sure.
right?
Sure.
So
you got another one too, right? Another good one?
I like Hegelianism.
Oh, good one.
Oh my God. It reminds me of Professor Bozick. Right? I feel like I'm thinking about teleology and all this stuff. I mean, it's mm-hmm. just all final causes. Everything is cause and effect. I mean, I know that you know about Hegelianism.
Oh, absolutely. And so many people don't know what Hegelianism is, but then you mention what is kind of the opposite of Hegel's ideas. And you talk about the chaos theory, and everyone's seen Jurassic Park, so they're like, oh yeah, chaos theory, I'm an expert on that, I know what chaos theory is. Yeah, I know. Ian Malcolm, chaos theory. But
can I see some more water?
Hegel is...
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Why?
He's going to do the water trick, Jurassic Park.
Oh, jeez. Don't waste the water, man.
Hold your hand like this, like a hieroglyphic. But no, that is I'm a big fan of Hegelism. In fact, I do prefer it over chaos theory. I think chaos theory has some very interesting points. It's fun to study, but
Yeah, it is very fun to study. It's not even that popular now, though. I mean, Hegelianism, we learned about it, though. I mean, we learned about it in graduate courses. It was super important, but I mean, it's not really popular now.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's talking about basically mortal and temporal. Like, can you, like, separate that, right? It even says, like, a good example would be, like, if you were always free and you became a slave, and then you were free again, right? You have to bounce back, so you can't appreciate freedom until, like, you've been like enslaved pretty much.
So true.
Isn't
This would be a good topic. I mean, we could spend an entire show on the heuristics of Hegelianism.
Oh, heuristics. I love it. See, Dr. Bozek would be so proud.
He would be. I hope Dr. Bozek is listening somewhere to this show, because he'd be proud of us that we're throwing out words like this.
I mean, the reason why I like Hegelianism, though, is it just like, it sees the potentials in human beings, you know what I'm saying? And the fact that they have spiritual potential. And that you can come together and have this evolution, and through the development and study of human development. But we don't think like that.
No, we don't.
It's like everybody's on autopilot all the time. So you never actually think about your thoughts or reason or anything or knowledge and use that. It's really sad. That's why I like intellectualism too. But,
And this is kind of where, and when you get into Hegelianism, this is kind of where the historiography of history changes, right? Because this is when you stop kind of just telling history always from the point of view of the winners or the point of view of whoever wrote it the best. You kind of look outside and really hyperanalyze the histrionics. Would that be the right word for that?
Yeah.
The histrionics of it.
I mean, it's just, everything's so important. It all ties in, whether it's like philosophy. That's why it's important to understand the philosophy and like the history of everything, because everything is like metaphysical, but then it's like political and like religious, and they all tie into these like isms.
Indeed. Any other isms you want to throw out there,
Oh,
Tiffany?
man. I think that's it. We could keep going forever.
Oh, we could keep going forever, but the next show is sitting in the green room ready to go. But I think we're going to touch on some of these topics again, because we just touched on some topics that could easily be their very own show.
Yeah.